Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bitcoin and Altcoin Trading Talk. I'm your host, Joe with Coinigy, joined by the wonderful Mr. Brian Beamish from therationalinvestor.com.
Hello, 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 hello.
Greetings. How are we doing tonight, Brian?
Good, good. You're getting better at that intro, right? A little bit more
I'm trying a little
enthusiasm there,
more oomph
so
behind it. There you
that's
go.
good to hear. You'll be jumping out of your clothes by the time we're
We're
done this
working
video.
on it, baby steps, but really excited to kind of get into what we're going to discuss tonight. So, as mentioned last week, we are going to try to do something a little different here. So, uh, the goal of this has been to kind of teach me and all the viewers kind of the multi-step process that Brian will take before making investments and kind of how he runs his school. And one of those things is doing your own fundamental research and fundamental analysis prior to making investments. So one of my tasks over the last couple of weeks has been to do some research on some projects that interest me, that I found solve an issue or offers does something better than alternative cryptocurrencies. So we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit tonight. And yeah, but first things first, I do know Brian's got and the team over at the rationalinvestor.com is coming up on a new school year or semester coming up. So, Brian, if you
Correct?
want to talk briefly about that or just the dates and how people can find your website.
All right. Thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate the intro, and yeah, I look forward to digging into some of the names that you've uncovered. And before we get going, we'll just do a quick sort of, I guess maybe just an intro as to what we do at TRI. And actually, interestingly enough, uh, we run a proprietary algorithm on the market, and actually, the market has been pointing up quite dramatically here for crypto. Caught a really nice buy signal there about a week or so ago, just following that big dump. And the algo's been long since, so that's been working pretty well. And actually, it's great to see that the stock market actually spat up a bit of a buy signal as well. So we're pretty excited. This is our crypto page over at TRI that we sort of track names. This is the top 30 crypto names in the universe. In fact, I think a number of the names that you're interested are in here. And we give technical ratings as well. We like to track sort of the leaders and the laggers in the market, who you want to be focusing on, who maybe you want to leave alone for the time being, as well as a number of different tech and crypto proxies. Tech, it's interesting in this market how tech is, well, crypto has been sort of enveloped into the tech marketplace. A lot of correlation between things like the technology index and crypto top 30 and Kraken and Binance and the whole thing. So it's cool to see that everybody's on a bullish note as of right now, heading into the Labor Day weekend. So that's encouraging. Hopefully, people can make a couple bucks in the market here. So that's good to see. As Joe said, we do have a new school term starting. You can see new school term starts in about 11 days. And every term, we have a raffle. I think actually this is not the page though that I want to give to Coinigy people. You have the link in the description, the link that I
Yes,
gave you,
sir.
right?
Yes, the link
And
is
it should
in
be
the
a very
description of this
specific
video.
link. Yeah, let's see if this opens that specific link. Yeah, there we go. So this is actually the page that we want to be looking at for you guys. And if you pop on up here, enter the raffle to win a free spot. That's really what I want to tell you guys here. Um, I like the fact that every term we give away a free seat to the school program. And we have actually changed some lives, even from the people that won the raffle. In fact, on Tuesdays we have a stock picking club, and our quarterback there was the guy who won the very first raffle at
Awesome.
TRI, geez, about 10 years ago, David. And so it warms my heart to see that, we actually do try and give back. And interestingly enough, almost everybody who does win a raffle seat actually goes on and finishes the program. So it's a win-win for everybody in the end. Anyway, new school term starts in about 11 days. So if you do click on that link that's in the description, not only can you enter the raffle, but you can also learn a little bit about what the school program's all about. Read some testimonies from previous students. And we even have a couple embedded videos on this page to get to learn a little bit more from our actual users. These are some of, in fact, actually, there's our CTO right there, Seward. I think you've probably heard me talk about him
Yes,
before.
sir.
And also a pretty good description about exactly what it is you're going to be doing and learning in the actual program. So
Awesome.
I think it's a well-rounded page. It's a well-rounded piece that gives you a pretty good idea of who TRI is and what we do. And as I said, this is your gateway to join the raffle. And we'll be having that raffle on the Broiler Chicken Show, which we do every Sunday at 11, no, I guess 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay.
And every weekend, if you go onto our YouTube page, I think I've shown you the YouTube page in the past.
Yep.
Let's see if I can just find it here for you guys. It's not that one over there. Which one is it? Actually, no. Yeah, oh, it is this one. If I pop on over here. In fact, we've had a lot of students who started their adventure on the free YouTube page.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you could probably sit here for a
Days.
thousand hours.
Days.
I mean, these broiler
Months.
chicken shows. Why do we call it broiler chickens? Why not? Sounds like a fun name. No, what I used to be, I keep in mind, I used to be a futures broker. I used to be a futures trader. Hell, I used to be a prop firm guy. In fact, actually, a lot of the students that graduate our program, I just simply send them to my old prop firm. Um, and one of the contracts that we used to trade was broiler chickens. The only problem is it just wasn't very popular to trade broiler chickens. So the contract would come and then it would trade for a couple years, then it would disappear, and everybody like, hey, where the hell did the broiler chickens go? Then they bring it back, and so it's kind of a funny, nostalgic look back for me to my brokering days. But as you can see, each of these shows is about 2 hours. That's free, obviously, YouTube content, and there must be thousands. In fact, I wonder how you 296 videos at about 2 hours a piece. Some of them are close to three. That's a hell of a lot of viewing hours, eh?
I'd
So
say so.
if you, in
Uh,
fact, we actually had one
Math.
gentleman. He had a really funny screen name, Great Del Moody. I don't know, YouTube internet names, right? And he actually even openly professed that he watched all of the shows, took notes like feverishly, and he was actually able to write a full user's manual on how to be a trader just from these broadcasts. So I think I did. I think I've done Spirit years and years and years ago. Asked me to try and make a positive difference in the world, and something like this, I think, is my contribution. It's entirely free, and if you can get value out of it, awesome. In fact, actually, we've been doing a whole bunch of fun new videos. We've got the shorts now up and running. So we actually just did a recent one on the U.S. dollar. Actually, Chris is working on one right now for the video, the short that we did today. So
Nice.
this is a great way where you can just sit and like just sort of really bullet quickly, just learn little
Roll through
tips.
it like TikTok.
Yeah, and it is that TikTok-y kind of format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So just
it's
make
it's
damn sure not
clicks.
to make fun of Winnie the Pooh, right?
Yes, sir. Well, awesome. Yeah,
um,
as mentioned, he's got a lot of great content
yeah.
all over
Well,
the
and this is you can see. I mean, we also have clips, I think we call them, that are just like 5-10 minute videos on different topics. I mean, it's a fabulous resource. This. So what I often suggest people do is go to the YouTube page and do a little bit of poking around, and of course, we should probably somehow tie these videos into this. I'm not quite sure how we can do that, but we got to figure that out.
I'd love that.
Um, and
Talk to the tech guys.
if you can, by all means, we'd love to have you participate in the raffle. And, once you sort of get up to speed, if you take the education program, that's a great way. We have a very, very structured way to get you up to speed to running your small business of trading. Ultimately, what I'd love to see everybody do is get to the point where they can use things like the crypto dashboard and our signaling system, and the breadth indicator, to help them just kick ass in the marketplace.
That's awesome.
So
It's funny to see those top 30 crypto right there because you said I do have see a couple of the ones on there that I've got on my fundamental analysis list here
right,
that
maybe
we'll
one
be
day
discussing. So
we could go through how this scoring system works. In essence, fives are very attractive. Six is actually outright buy signal. And this was actually developed back when I was a commodities broker. And I used to do this on a regular basis. And actually, I track the entire universe: bonds, commodities, country funds, crypto, top 30, currencies, Dow Industrials, transports, all the ETFs, stock indexes, etc. And this is a really easy way to play the market, and just always make sure that you're thinking about investing and participating in markets that offer the most upside potential. And unfortunately, twos and threes, like you see down here, they're not investment quality. If anything, they're almost a short. And ones are actually outright shorts, and sixes are outright buys. And what was really interesting, like last winter, when we had Bitcoin right down at the bottom end of its range, in the crypto, we actually had a bunch of sixes. We actually had markets that were actually spitting up buy signals. And from a commodities trader perspective, that's pretty rare.
mhm.
So as you can see, there are no buys right now. There's a whole bunch of names that look very attractive relative to their. We talked about the 50% rule recently with you,
Yes, we
right?
did we
So
have.
that's okay. So already trivia time. Let's see whether Joe can remember anything
All right.
that I've been barking at him forever. Who came up with the 50% rule?
WD Gann.
Very good. All right. So,
D
and
stands
throw
for
that name around at cocktail parties, or like when you go back east and you talk about to the bigwigs. Go, oh yeah, I'm personally familiar with WD Gann. He's a badass technician. People are gonna be like, ooh, fancy schmancy.
exactly.
Anyway, Mr. Gann would say that markets typically like to retrace 50% of their most recent moves. So here you can see
Yeah.
Adam, and I think that's one of the names you're interested in, right?
Yeah,
So
it is no my the four that we'll be discussing today are AVAX or Avalanche, um, Phantom,
there's AVAX.
Gem. There we
Phantom,
go.
I think, is actually relatively small cap. I don't think it makes
Yeah.
the top
And
30, though.
then another one that's on that is Matic or Polygon.
Yeah, actually, that's right above him. Matic, yeah.
Yep. And then an interesting one. It's a newer one, but Sui, SUI.
Yeah, I don't think that would make the top
Yeah.
30 here yet.
So, but at least we're batting 50% there with AVAX and Matic on there. But
Right.
we'll
So,
discuss a little.
just based on you understand the GAN's 50% rule, you
Yes.
can see how, the system automatically calculates what the 50% rule is. So interestingly enough, and when we get to the chart and look at it, you can see if we use AVAX for example, you can see that the 50% of its recent range, 52-week high is 22.79, and the 52-week low is 9.71. We're sitting here at 10.20, and the 50% roll is $16. So what this is basically saying is that there is a very realistic chance that we see about a $6 rally on AVAX here, right?
Huh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that can be the first one we start with. So we'll take a look at that one first.
Sure. Um, I don't know whether we necessarily need to get into the nitty gritty of this, but just the point being, I did find it interesting that, if we look at things like where is Bitcoin? Oh, Bitcoin's right at the bottom list. It gets a 3. So that means it's not really a buy. It's not really a sell. Like the 50% rule, you can see 52-week high is 31.8. That was from like last year, right? The
Yeah.
low is 15 and change. That was like last fall. We're sitting right now at 26, and you can see the 50% rule is actually $3,000 lower than where we are right now, right?
Yeah.
So you could make the argument that Bitcoin's actually overvalued right now. Don't say
I
that
mean,
to the crypto kids,
yeah.
though.
No, God forbid. And it was a pretty interesting pump we got yesterday with
Yeah, but don't you
with the
remember
news
what
of
did
the
we say?
SEC.
What did we say about the weekly price chart? And actually, I tweeted it out using the Coinigy charts, and I gotta say this was absolutely spot on. So where are we here? This was level, and this was cool because I made reference to this repeatedly
Yeah.
through
Cool
the.
your jets.
Pardon me?
The cool your jets.
Yeah. In fact, I even made reference to it today in the short that I did today. Although I don't think we're going to use the jet image, but where is it? There it
There we
is.
are.
Right. So knowing that the 50% level is 23,000, so that means that the 50% level is like right in here, right? Say 22,
Yeah.
23. So we knew that this market was a bit vulnerable just based on WD GAM. And then add into it the fact that we have this confirmed bearish momentum divergence. And yeah, you probably ought to just cool your jets. I mean, I don't know whether we want to spend too much time talking about Bitcoin. I think I do have the chart up here, though. Let's see. Yeah,
You.
there we are. So, what have we done here recently? So that big rally that you talked about was basically that move right there.
Yeah.
So there is that bearish divergence. And the worst part about this is you can see the MACD actually made a new low here. So there's no W's anywhere in sight.
Yeah.
And we had talked about, do you remember what we had sort of maybe conjectured was the price pattern that might be developing here?
The Head and Shoulders.
Yeah. So if we draw the head and shoulders, and you can see how I just went over to the charting tools, and I picked this little thing that looks like a fractal here. And then I just draw this out. We were sitting here a couple weeks ago, I distinctly remember,
Yeah.
sort of talking about how we had come down into the 38.2, like we call that the first stop target, which is, you should expect this on any name at any time, anywhere. You should just expect this to happen. Okay. So seeing the pullback into the 38.2, business as usual, very normal. And then on the flip side, do you remember what we called this one type of candle? Do you remember that type of candle?
The V bottom.
It is a V
Yeah.
bottom, technically speaking, kind of like this. But this
Uh,
one candle where you have like a wick up top here, and then a tail
the
down
shooting
below.
star. Or no, the
And
wick would be. Can you
yeah,
move
you're
it
just
over so
guessing
it's?
now. So.
Yeah, I am.
But just listen to me when I talk you through this. Maybe it'll
Yeah.
chime in. So he said, if you have a candle where
Oh,
you have
inside bar.
the wick about the equal distance, or
Uh-huh.
let's say size, as the tail. You see how they're about equal? And then you have this really, really thin little body, right? There's not much of a body, and it comes in almost exactly at the midpoint of this. What do
Uh-huh.
we call that type of candle?
Is that a harami?
No, it's called a doji.
Doji? Doji
And
is
by
in
definition, doji means indecision.
indecision. Okay, I've got that. Doji is an indecision bar. Move
Yeah.
doji high as a buy signal.
Well, so you could make the argument that as long as price stays inside the doji's range,
Mm-hmm.
the market is very indecisive. It just doesn't know what it wants to do. You could make the argument that if we break through the top of the doji, that's a bullish signal. And conversely, if we break through the bottom of the doji, that is a bearish signal. Does that make sense? Pretty
Yep.
straightforward. So, what's another way to look at this doji? And actually, this is a really cool concept called candlestick math. You might want to write that down. So, if we go down to say, like, let's say, I don't know, we'll go to the daily chart. What does this doji look like on a daily chart? Well, actually, there it is. So, do you see how we went kind of up?
Yeah.
I'll make this yellow. And we also had a down.
Mm-hmm.
And right, the middle part of the doji is basically these two candles, made the extreme high and the extreme low. Then we went on that side, and then we went on this side. So what does that kind of look like? It's not really the best, but use your imagination a little bit. What does that sort of look like? If I go twinkle, twinkle, little star, what does that kind of look like? Up
Um,
above the sky so bright, like
a diamond,
in the
diamond,
night.
a diamond. That's what I
Yeah.
mean now.
So, do you see how this diamond pattern, if
Okay.
we took all of these candles and we smushed them all together,
That would,
notice like we started here. And then through this whole thing, we went all, well, actually, first we went all the way down here, and then we went all the way up here, and then we actually finished at almost exactly where we started. So
yeah.
can you see how this diamond pattern is really that doji on the weekly basis?
Okay. That makes sense.
So we slammed down into 38.2 fibs. I affectionately like to call this the first stop target.
Yep.
We also have a longtime site member, OG, who actually is a principal on another website and advisory service now, Colin. And he likes, we affectionately like to call this Colin's pump chaser zone, where we know we're not allowed to buy up markets, right? Institutional players do not buy up markets. We have to wait for a pullback into support and then get some sort of buy signal. So hence the term Collins pump chaser zone. We said 38.2 to 50%. There's WD GAN, right?
Yep.
So getting a little bit of a buy signal off of this level shouldn't really surprise us. And if this is indeed a big head and shoulders pattern, then actually we should expect the market to rally right back up top here, back up to about, what's that, 30, 31,000, 30, between 30,000 and
Yeah.
31,000, somewhere in there. So this little rally that you talked about happening there the other day, it's not really a big surprise. That's actually pretty par for the course. And interestingly, this is where this gets so uber cool. we actually had the algo flash a sell signal on Bitcoin right there, and then flash a buy signal on Bitcoin right there. So if you actually took the signals, now it was interesting because this happened on a Wednesday, and I actually missed the sell signal. But fascinating how the algo basically got you either on the sidelines or going short here, and then got you right back into the long side right here. Fascinating. So the
Mhm.
algo is operating on 100%. It's just killing it right now. Um, and I might argue that right now we are still long. It'll be interesting to see whether the algo stays long here. If we gently roll over here and have to start actually tumbling down, we might actually be told by the algo. Notice what letter of the alphabet does this sort of look like? Let's see, where's the best way to do this? Is it this one? No. There we are. Is that, there you go. Up, down, up, down. What does that look like?
An M,
Yeah, our M's bullish or bearish,
bearish.
right? You could even argue, and this is what I think the algo saw was up, down, up, fail.
Yeah.
So M after M after M, run for the hills. But now what are we getting? We go down,
Up,
up,
down,
down,
up.
up. What does
Nice
that look like?
W.
Yeah. So super cool to see the M's and W's at work. This is a basic principle I've been trying to teach you, and hopefully you can see them
Yeah,
at work.
definitely can.
So also too, you can see we could drill down to really lower time frames, and like this is a daily chart. Like if we go down to like 4 hours, this would be like your swing traders. And notice this is where it gets super cool. What I've been trying to teach you lately is
Mhm.
notice trade location here. So, we
Yep.
take our
Hit
fib
50%
tool.
there.
Pardon me?
It's running along 50% there too.
Well, even better, if we put on our reload zone,
Take a
61.8 to
look.
78.6. Um, Look at these dips, like right into that zone there. Just beautiful.
Ooh.
And then, have you ever heard me talk about candle body lows for trade location?
Yes, yeah, I
I mean, look
have.
at this. This is insane. If
Candle
anybody could pull this off, man, I'd give him a big old hero biscuit. We had
body
this
lows
big
make for
dump,
great trade zones.
and look how we have this candle body low level in the reload zone, and look at that dip right into that level. If you had actually had your order working right at that level, it would have taken like
Oh,
almost no heat at all. And of course, you'd be sitting pretty all the way up here now. But I don't expect 95% of the investor world, don't expect them to even fathom this kind of trade. That's
yeah.
your like professional CME floor trader trade.
Or
Uh, you know,
TRI traders.
Joey Diamond. If I see down the road one day you actually tell me, hey Brian, look at this. I had a reload zone and it was candle body lows for trade location. So I threw my bid in there and I bought, and look at the trade I pulled off here. I would say, okay, well, I've done my job with you.
Yes,
No,
sir.
nothing more to teach Joe.
We'll get there.
Yeah, but and the great part about this is anybody can do this.
Yes, sir.
Anybody can do it. So it's just really a question of do you want it? And that's the great part about what I do is that I don't give a crap whether you're white, black, yellow, brown, purple, gray, fuchsia, whatever the hell. I don't care whether you're a male, you're a female, you're a houseplant, you're whatever. I don't care. It doesn't mean anything to me. The only thing that matters is the beautiful part about this universe is mathematics is kind of like it's like the how do you say it? It's like the architectural blueprint of the way the universe is built. And like we've talked lots about chaos theory and stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
Check this out. This will blow your mind. So you see this W,
Up,
down,
down,
breakout,
up.
right?
Yep.
Okay, so do you think where this market stopped, do you think maybe that was slightly pre-programmed? I don't know.
I'd say
So
as
look
a
how we
betting guy,
rallied
I'd say
right up
yes.
into that 4669. This is Feigenbaum's bifurcation level. This is the really big chaos theory level. And we rallied right up into that 4669. And then can you see, you actually made reference to it earlier. What do we call this two bar pattern here? This bar and this bar.
The is that the V top?
It is a V top. I'll give you a big hint. That's an
Okay.
important line right there. It's an inside bar because
Okay.
this little bar is completely inside this bar. It's also a 3 bar fractal top. Remember when we talk about things like maple leaves and stuff like that?
Yep.
And in fact, to help you see that, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, well, you have the Williams fractal tool. And so you can see, look at that. Even this tool will give you the little notation. Hey, this is a fractal. Pay attention. And then also too, this is technically, I would call this a bear rammy, but the Japanese candlestick people, as long as this little candle, its body is inside this bigger candle's body, they call that harami. I would call it a bear rammy. I personally prefer to have all of baby's body inside mummy's body, but you can see a little bit of baby's head sticking outside of mummy's yaya. So, anyway, the point of the matter here is the failure through this low here is a trade signal. And look
Okay.
where it came off of. That's kind of freaky how that just basically
Yeah, it's
perfectly lined up there, right?
for real.
So, I think you can make the argument that this wasn't really a surprise. Like I said, we had come down into Collins pump chaser zone, 38.2, first stop target. Then we consolidated for a fairly long period of time, and we resolved that consolidation to the upside. And what was really interesting about this move is I do cover, and then we'll get on to your four stories, but I'll just finish this thought here if you don't mind.
No, go by all
Um,
means. It's
we
very
do
intriguing.
cover the entire market, and I think what you need to understand is that, and especially people in crypto, is I don't think that crypto really is trading on its own anymore. I think
Mm-mm.
crypto is definitely sort of part of the sort of finance ecosystem. So it's not operating in a bubble. It's not out on its own like it was like 10 years ago. And in fact, it wasn't just crypto that pivoted yesterday. The whole damn market just launched. And the question is why? And I mean, I suppose if you're not really that interested in the broader market, it's not that big of a deal. But of course, I mean, I'm trading futures, I'm trading
Yeah.
stocks, I'm trading crypto, the whole thing. This is a market matrix that I follow of the entire market. And here was the crypto market. There's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, a future spread relationship that I like to follow to help me sort of time market sort of moves. There's dominance. There's the total market cap. You can see everything launched. The only thing that went down was the US dollar index, which technically the US dollar in this case was a bit of a fear proxy. So you could actually make the argument that the entire market, everybody got out of the fear asset, the US dollar,
Okay.
and got into anything and everything else. So the euro took off, the Japanese yen took off, Swiss franc took off, even hell, even the Canadian dollar. Although, hint, 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 Canada is a short. Stay the fuck away from this country, everyone, if you know what's good for you. Australia even had a rally. And actually, it's interesting because last night in our stock pickers club, we
Uh,
had a really interesting conversation about the gold market. The gold market's looking very, very interesting in here. So that should help crypto and Bitcoin, digital gold. But you can see gold took off, silver took off. Actually, interesting how crude oil really didn't react too much. The stock market just went absolutely insane. There's the NASDAQ, right? And the NASDAQ would be sort of the same as Bitcoin and Ethereum. And the Russell 2000, this is the small cap stock market. It would be sort of like your Litecoins and your total crypto market cap. It took
okay.
off. Hell, even the bonds rallied. And this was the whole reason why all of these markets took off, was that we finally are starting to get information that the U.S. banking elite needs to see to start feeling as though they're done raising interest rates. So the market got that information. We don't necessarily need to go into that in this particular show, but the whole risk market just sort of went, oh, phew, thank God. Hopefully the interest rate rises are done. Now, I would say, and this is a bit of a cautionary tale, we have to be a little bit careful here. It's the end of August, and frankly speaking, most real sort of serious professionals that deal in serious size, they're not in the market right now. In fact, we have a joke, and you're on the West Coast here, so you might not know this reference.
Okay.
But where do you think most of the Lordy doody, look at me, I'm a fancy billionaire, blah, blah, blah. Where do you think they are right now?
I want to say East Coast,
Okay, that's good. So, a certain part of the East Coast that's notorious for very, very wealthy people.
the Hamptons.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, Constantine gave you the answer there. I
Yeah.
see you looking down at the chat.
Got the eyes over. Say over here. I've got the chat over on the screen.
Yeah, so it's just common knowledge. Thank you, Constantine.
Much appreciated.
It's just common knowledge that most of the professionals that are trading in Wall Street, they're up in the New York City cottage country, right? What would be cottage country? Where are you? You're in Portland?
Yes, sir.
Right. So is there sort of an area where all the rich people of Portland go in the summertime, like into the forest, into the mountains, into the lakes and stuff like that? I don't know. Is there
Yeah.
anything like that?
I mean, obviously, the coast is always big. Cannon Beach area is just
There you go.
tourist.
So most of the big money
Yeah.
is actually on vacation right now. We'll see them come back after the Labor Day weekend. And my hunch here is I think that's sort of what they're getting the market ready for. And we can use Bitcoin as a proxy in this space. Like I said, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised down the road if people sort of choose, I'm going to trade the NASDAQ, or I'm going to trade the big NASDAQ stocks, or I'm going to trade Bitcoin as my tech proxy. That really wouldn't surprise me one bit. Bitcoin, and it's almost like Bitcoin is the gold and Ethereum is the silver. So you've probably heard that reference before
Yep.
once or twice. Anyway,
Digital gold.
so having said that, in a weird sort of way, I actually think that the market was kind of cheap there a week or so ago. There's your big rally, and really all it did was it just banged into a fog and bomb. The question I would have for you is based on everything that we've done here.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can sort of put two and two together.
Make me nervous.
What would be a realistic hint, hint, hint zone we would be interested in if we were thinking about actually wanting to be short or short this thing?
The reload zone.
There you go. So you should actually be able to tell me exactly where this thing is probably going to rally back up to. What are the fibs of the reload zone?
It is the 78.6 and 61.8.
All right, so we'll put those on here, 78.6, 61.8. And remember we had said earlier, if this is some sort of head and shoulders top, then we're
Yeah.
probably likely to come up and at the very least sort of play with
Touch up
this
there.
level.
Yeah.
And oh gee whiz, look where our reload zone is. And what do we call? We've done it of late. Just over the past year, I've changed it to this name. It's a little bit egocentric, I guess. But what do we call this? 78.6?
Brian's favorite fib,
There
the
you
BMF.
go. So do you see how this all sort of lines up here?
Yes, sir.
So, in a weird sort of way, what we're seeing here is not really out of the ordinary. And should we
Checks
get a
out.
rally back up top into this topping window and we get a
Short
nice
it.
M up here, maybe a nice fat bearish divergence in momentum indicators, and it would probably represent a really great shorting opportunity.
Okay.
So, there's your Bitcoin summary. I don't think it's really rocket science what's going on here. So, let's try and limit Brian's ranting here this week, and let's get into the meat and potatoes. What do we want to look at? Joe's
So,
got his, and if anything, I've suggested to Joe that he create some sort of table or something. And we were even kicking around. This is just a little treat for you. We were kicking around. Joe actually has this cool matrix, and we can even do things like, how did he show me how to do this? I think, let's see if I can
yep.
do this.
You can add panels.
Add panel, and
So
then
this
what
is
we
our
were
boards
thinking of.
feature. It's new and improved. It's completely customizable, so you can even do all of your technical analysis. And we have the trading view charts there and indicators there as
Right.
well. It's
So, we maybe like we'll do notes, and then maybe maybe you can see I even have a table in here. And Joe also showed me a way. Let's see if I can remember how to do this.
drag and
Uh,
drop.
is
So
that it? Or
click
do I
there.
drag this? Yeah.
Yep. And
So
then
something like that. And then we were going to do this side by side with the actual price chart. So hopefully what happens over the future, and we just kicked around this. Well, Joe showed me this tonight, but hopefully maybe over the next weeks or so, we can actually fill this out with notes and sort of, where is the reload zone? Where, are we, is good trade location? Maybe we can even have like, do we have trade location? Check. Do we have indicator confirmation? Check. Do we have price structure? Check. And as soon as you see three check marks, then we know we've got a trade idea. So then we can enter in what price it is we want to trade, and how much money we're going to risk, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this should actually develop over time into a really cool presentation matrix. So
yeah, we're excited about it. So you guys
yeah,
are getting like the first look on it here of the new and improved. We'll have a press release out early next week about this. So
yeah,
fully customizable interface where it's a lot more intuitive, and we're really excited about the way that this turned out. So
yeah, super cool. This
we'll
should be
have
a
a
lot
lot
of
more of
fun.
this in the future, and like you can add any market that you can chart on Coinigy. You can add it here, and you can have this. It's an endless scroll page where you can kind of just keep adding panels. So you can have
Sick.
all the charts and notes, uh, curated news feed. You can even have your portfolio on this page and buy orders on it.
So
So
hopefully this page just by time, let's say a year from now, and we're really getting into the next crypto bull market in earnest. Hopefully we have this tricked out like it just looks like the most ultimate trading platform ever.
And then the cool thing is up in that top right corner where it says share board URL.
Yeah.
Uh, if Brian were to copy this and send me that link, I can immediately import the entire thing
Oh, good. Remember I
into
was asking
mine.
you about that earlier.
Yeah, so it'll import what is there at that moment. So
Excellent. So,
very cool feature for this.
all right. So now if
But
I
let's
do a bunch of TA on this, will the system save this or is there?
I do believe so. I believe it's still all saved right into that trading view charting library, because you can see it says like TA default there, which is
Yeah.
what it would say on the regular screen. I have not played around with it.
Like
That
we
part,
could work off of these charts.
yes.
The only
I,
question is does any of the work that we do get saved? So,
I can't count on that for sure. I believe so, but like I said, I have not exported that to that
yeah.
extent. But
Okay. I'm not quite sure
I
why
just
that
press
didn't
escape
load.
there. And
Okay. So, remember we had talked earlier this evening about AVAX, right? That was one of your names
yep.
that you're interested in.
So well,
Um,
you kind of set up a little. I can talk a little bit about whether you want to just do it
yeah,
on
well, so I
names or
think what we'll do
markets.
tonight is why don't we go through them? And I think, if anything, I wouldn't mind having AVAX and Matic up top and then the FTM and the SUI
Yeah,
down below.
then
But,
you can just drag and drop it up.
can we just move this up here? Is this, we just move
Yep.
this up here? And
Thing, and so that'll do it half.
then
You have to kind of play around.
move this down here.
Maybe bring it all
Something
the way
like that.
down. Not exactly.
We got to still play with this. Obviously, Will and Rob just put this together, eh?
Yep.
Actually, are Will
So
and Rob still driving the bus?
you know it. Still
Cool.
doing great.
Okay,
But
so we got the AVEX and the SUI done. Let's see if we can move Matic up here. And if anything, what I would love to see happen is that over the next months, we basically use this as sort of like a teaching, sort of, what's the word? Um, kind of just like a platform that not only do we talk TA and what's a good trade
mhm.
and all that, but we also like highlight how to use Coinigy to best effect. I just don't know how
Yeah.
to get this to resize. Uh, all right. Well, as you can
Yeah.
see, it's
We'll
still
play
a work
around
in
with it some
progress.
more. But yeah, just released it, so
All right,
still
did I get
got
that? Matic, AVAX, yes, I did. There we go. All right,
cool.
cool. And then I can move this over. All right. So I think what we'll do is we'll go AVAX, Matic, SUI, and FTM. And actually, this might be kind of a cool dovetail as well. So remember we had said when we were looking at TRI's matrix, where was that? That was it over here? Yeah. Nope. That's the YouTube page. Yeah, it's one of these pages. That one? Yeah, there we are. So remember we had said Matic, and what ends up happening here on our crypto top 30, this is my weekly commodity trend survey. Right off the bat, right, you can see where 50% rolls. So here's Matic. So
Mhm.
you can see we're given a rating of 5, which isn't bad. I mean, it's not a 6, which is like an outright buy, but it's sort of saying, hey, pay attention. So why?
Okay.
First and foremost, current price right now is 56 cents. 52-week low is 51. Do we buy down markets generally? Is that what institutional
Yes.
players do?
Yes.
All right, so that kind of makes sense. We are sort of sniffing around the lows.
Hmm.
52-week high is $1.57, or almost 3 times what the current price is.
Yeah.
So that means that the 50% level is around $1,
Yeah.
or almost a double from where we are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how smart money makes a lot of money in this world. So that's sort of like our location screen here. It's just where are we in relation to the 50% rule? So that by default, I'm always going to be interested in names that look like this.
Okay.
And then we want to judge momentum. And the way that I judge momentum, I've shown you this before, is I use the 13 period exponential moving average, which is a very fast moving average, and it hugs price very closely. That's my fast moving average. And my slow moving average I use is the 30-week simple moving average. So you can see right now the fast moving average is below the slow moving average, i.e., momentum is down now. Right? And let's now take that principle and let's go and look at the price chart.
Okay.
So we said first and foremost, does it look like this? No, that's not the right price chart.
That's that's AVAX.
Nah, but I was talking about Matic, remember, 57 cents.
Oh
So I
yeah.
guess we're going to start over here on the right. Oh well, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
All right, so does this make sense that Brian's thinking about buying near the bottom end of the range?
Yes, sir.
Does it make sense? The 50% rule is substantially higher than we currently are.
Indeed.
So, from that perspective, this should make sense. And then, if we want to apply those really basic momentum study, the moving averages, you can see here is the 30 day, and we'll change this to weekly because remember, I always like to start all of my analysis from a higher time frame perspective.
Hmm.
So there's the 30 SMA. Um, and we should have on here, there is the 13 EMA. All right. So from that simple perspective,
Okay.
does this now make sense? The fast moving average crossed below the slow moving average here. And what letter of the alphabet does this look like? Up,
That's
down, up,
M.
down. What does that look like?
M.
So do you see how the M almost confirmed on exactly the date that the moving averages crossed bearishly?
Yep.
That's not an accident. That's one of the main reasons why I like to use this moving average relationship is that it often corresponds nicely with price breakdowns like that. So, with that said, uh, let's go through, and this is the kind of thing that I'd like to put on that table is, our 3 reasons for a trade, right? And what
Yep.
do we say reason number 1 should always be?
Location. Just
Good.
like real
So,
estate, location, location, location.
so as it stands right now, do we have trade location?
Yes.
All right, so that's good. We can move on from step 1. Step 2 we said was,
Indicator confirmation
all right, we'll just call
and
that IC. And ideally, what we really would love
divergence.
to see here is
Divergence.
a div. So let's take a look at the momentum indicators and let's see whether we can even give this a passing grade here for this. And frankly speaking, I don't even know. But here we are. Let's go back here and then, oops, now we have to go like this. And then we'll go like this and then we'll go like this. And all right, now we have our indicators. So remember we said we got this nasty price breakdown. So the bear is basically in control with the moving averages crossing over bearishly.
Mm-hmm.
If we were just going to use the moving averages as our indicator confirmation, are they pointing bullishly right now?
Yes.
Okay, let's try and think about that.
Wait. So
When
which
we
one
say
is
that
the thicker one is the longer time period?
yeah, we can, let's
Or
see if we
change it.
can make this a little easier for you. So the fast one will keep yellow. And then let's do this slower one. Maybe we'll make this red. And we'll
Okay.
make this a
That's
bit
better for
thicker
my
for you.
eyes.
How's that look? Does that work?
Yes.
Okay. So we said when the fast moving is above the slow moving, that's
Okay.
bullish.
Yes.
You see how they crossed here?
Yep.
And you see how this is kind of a W.
Okay. That makes sense. So
Moving averages are bullish. Then,
below it, so that's
they crossed
bearish.
bearish here, didn't they?
Okay.
And that was an M, right?
Yep.
So the moving averages, if we're just going to use the moving averages, what would that vote be? Would it be
Be
bullish or
bearish.
bearish?
Bearish.
Right. How about MACD? Does this kind of look like a big M here?
Yep.
Up, down, up, fail.
Down. Yep. It does.
Now notice we did have a W way over here. So I don't mind this being a bull sort of div because keep in mind, look, it was making higher lows and higher lows, but lower lows in price. So there was a bull div way over here, but that's like back what?
In
That's
July.
a couple years ago. Uh-oh. So you can't really use that now.
Yeah.
So the
For a year
question
ago.
the question for the time being, like at present, what is this MACD indicator doing? Is it looking more ME or more WE?
Where it's currently, I
And
could,
you can see it went
I mean, it's an
down,
M, but
down, and what does that
depends
look
on
like?
this one.
Does that look like a W? Not really.
No, towards
This
the end it
low is
could.
lower than this low.
Yeah, as I said, towards the end we'd have to see it. We have to still let it play out, but
Right. And for us to actually say that this would be bullish
we
divergence, we would
we need to
actually
turn
need to
back
see
up.
this low hold and then it turn back up and make a W, eh?
Yep.
So do we have that?
No.
No. So that's strike two from our indicators. That's not good.
Yep.
Okay, how about things like relative strength index? Is this making M's or W's?
M's.
Strike three. Now,
Yeah.
the one good part about this is, do you remember what we called this indicator down at the bottom? I don't know whether I actually ever really formally taught you this yet or not.
What it
But let's maybe do something like that. And it's called the Willy.
Yep.
And the Willy highlights overbought or oversold conditions. And so
And
when it goes
oversold's generally a
below
good.
minus 80 here, can you see this right here?
Yep.
It's not so much that this is a buy, it's just maybe this isn't the best time to be a seller. So that was all in this mess. And sure enough, if you were long this thing and you were like, oh God, I hate this damn thing, I want to get out. If I was your broker, right, you'd call me up on the phone, you'd say, oh, Brian, hit the bid, get me out of there. And I would look down at Willie like this and I would say, I mean, do you really need the money today? Like, do you got to pay rent or pay the bills or something? And
Yeah.
if you're kind of like, no, I just don't like this thing and it's kind of pissing me off and seeing it down every day, I might just say, you know what? Maybe this thing is a sell. And maybe it's a piece of crap. I don't know. But maybe here, maybe this isn't the best time to be a seller. Why don't we just give this thing a little bit of time, let it firm up a little bit, and then if you still hate it down the road, we can bail later on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's basically, and this indicator works really, really well for this. I mean, had you sold here and then just watch this damn thing climb its way back up, you'd be pretty pissed off, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So, well, maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I would.
Um, so I would make the argument that Willie was stupidly oversold here. Actually, I built this indicator because it was a client of mine, and his name was Willie.
Uh-huh.
Captain. He was an old tugboat captain up the Fraser River. And, and he would always call me up, tugboat captain. Is he really a professional stock trader? Not really. That really emotional guy, right? If he didn't like you, he'd throw you off overboard in a heartbeat, just leave
Gone.
you to drown.
Yeah. Feed you
So,
to
but
the
the point
sharks.
is he always made terrible decisions in the market. Anyway, so I affectionately named the indicator after him.
Yeah.
So the point here is, look at where we are now, right? This Willie indicator. Actually, interesting. I can't. Wonder why I can't get the actual price quote there. Oh, there it is. All right. So do you see that? Is that Willie indicator lower than minus 80?
It is.
Yeah.
So it's considered
So
oversold.
we are getting oversold. And interestingly enough, like if we change this chart to a line chart, so this is charting clotheslines, you notice that price
Blue.
is making a lower low, but the momentum indicators are not making a lower low. So we wouldn't call this confirmed divergence yet, but it's starting to form. And if anything, this makes sense. Willie is stupidly oversold now. So what we need to do now is be patient and let these divergences confirm. Now,
Gotcha.
how do we let a divergence confirm? What we really want to see is we want to see the indicator itself make that W. So notice here we have the indicator went down. It came rallying back up. So we sort of made the left-hand part of this W. Now what we'd like to see is the indicator dip down against these lows but not make a new low. And then when it turns back up and it goes through this middle part here, we can then officially say the divergence has been confirmed. And you better write that down because I'm going to quiz you on that. This is a hugely significant concept. Hugely significant. So you can see how the indicator here did not make a new low at this point here, right here. Would I call this a confirmed divergence at this point right here?
Yes, because it's not
No,
lower.
I would
No?
call this a potential divergence. And it becomes confirmed
Oh, once it breaks
when
past.
we go through
Yes.
the middle
Yeah.
part of the W,
Yep.
which in this case happened over here.
Right, note of that.
So I think it would be a good idea for you to write this down. This is a very important concept that most amateurs, especially if you go on like YouTube and stuff like that,
I don't teach
which is
that.
funny because we're on YouTube.
You said most amateurs.
Most amateurs
Saying
don't
here first
understand
rodeo.
this concept, and they usually get it wrong.
Yeah.
So you just have to understand that, yes, it's encouraging. Price was making lower lows, but the MACD histogram was not making lower lows here. That's encouraging, but it's just potential because we could have very easily come back up and then rolled over and made new lows, and now this actually turns into a new M. You see that?
Yes.
That's why you have to see the actual W fire here to actually get a confirmed divergence. So, the reason why I'm mentioning all that is, and is there any way to hit the back button and undo in this full screen format? Because it's kind of irritating to have to select these and delete them.
I don't think so. I will talk to our developers to see. That might be something that TradingView just has it limited on their charting library there.
Okay, so the point here is market is making lower closes. The indicator is not making lower closes, so that's good. But as we said there a moment ago, you can't call this a confirmed divergence because this could very easily just turn into a new M, and that would be like up, down, up, fail, and that's actually a new very powerful sell signal if we go through like that.
Gotcha.
So we can't call that a confirmed divergence. It's potential, and that's good. I mean, it's constructive, but it's not confirmed. And what we need to see now are confirmed bullish divergences in our three-step process.
Gotcha.
So as we said, if we're going to do our process, three-step process, after what we've gone through here, can we say we have indicator confirmation? And actually, I mean, maybe even, let's even do even more. We'll say confirmed. Oops. Confirmed div. So try and remember that. ICCD. ICCD. Can we say that we have indicator confirmation and confirmed divergence?
No.
So that's about as far as we can take the analysis process so far, right?
Yep.
So do we even want to get to the point? Do we even are we even allowed to ask whether we have things like
Market or
market
structure?
structure to frame trades.
No.
So, what I would say is uh, not applicable yet. Since we're stuck at step 2, we can't even move on to step 3 yet. Does that make sense?
It does.
All right, now, my
Yeah.
friend, you can actually
So
get a job as a technical analyst at any Wall Street brokerage firm now.
yeah. So I'll give you a little insight of what I thought was interesting with Matic of it is so some facts about it in my research is that it aims to provide a faster and cheaper transactions on Ethereum using layer 2 side chains. Um, and which are the blockchains that run alongside the Ethereum main chain. So basically, just faster smart contracts is what, and faster and cheaper transactions is just like more efficiently is something that caught my eye in that. And then let's see, users can deposit Ethereum tokens to a Polygon smart contract, interact with them within Polygon, and then later withdraw them back from the Ethereum main chain. And then the Matic token is used to pay transaction fees and participate in the proof of stake consensus. So the biggest thing for me was the faster and cheaper options. You're not paying a lot in fees. In the total supply, there is, was it million? 10 billion Matic, I think. And so the
Excuse me.
circulating supply is 9.3 right now. So that's 93% of it. So it is getting up there in terms of being mined and obviously supported on just a lot of different exchanges. It's not just on one like Uniswap or something of that nature. So yeah, those are kind of the bigger reasons. I see you've done some getting some different Fibonacci levels there,
Mm-hmm.
Brian. Let me
So,
take a
can
look.
you see how we through and let's see. And actually, interesting how this guy. I guess he bottomed like last summer. It's an interesting
Yeah,
time
June
for
of
a year for this
22.
thing to bottom. Look how it
Right,
likes to
right where it
bottom. Yeah, and
was.
actually not just this past summer, but the
But
previous summer as well.
yeah,
So it seems to like to bottom there in June, which is a bit odd. Because usually the cliche goes
sell in
sell in
May and
May
walk
and walk
away.
away. But can you see how this rally window was really, and what do we call a big shout out to this particular student, OG of TRI? What do we like to call that 38.2 to 50% window?
Um,
And in this case, it would be dump chasers.
gotcha.
Anyway, we remember I have an old student. He's a principal over at the Hero Exchange now, I think.
Yeah, you mentioned him.
Colin.
Yeah,
So
yeah, Collins
we
dumps.
affectionately like to call this
Yeah,
Collins. In this case, you're not allowed to sell a down market. You have to wait for the market to retrace back to 38.2 to 50%, and then you can sell it. So do you see how
Collins
that
dump
works?
chaser zone.
Yeah. You might argue there was a cute little W that came in down here. It's awfully tough to see, but hopefully you can see down, up, down, breakout. So anybody who was like an aggressive bull, and yeah, this kind of makes sense too. If we go against this low, back up against this high, can you see how, like we talked about this as our venture cap reload zone?
Yep.
So I can kind of understand why the market pivoted off here, off this 88.6 level. It's not rocket science. Um, so if anything, a great sort of illustration of confluence of levels. 4.669 Foggenbaum, horizontal support and resistance. Have you ever heard me use the expression look left?
Yep.
So as we were sort of climbing our wall of worry here, you're looking left, trying to figure out where major resistance is. And poor folks that happen to buy this move up top here, not that big of a wick, but nonetheless, you can see actually, look, oh, there's a big wick.
You're
And you
right.
see how there's a whole bunch of trap bulls in this particular wick right there.
Yep.
And as soon
Sleeping
as
on the
price
couch.
got into that range, all those trap bulls got released. Does that make sense?
It does.
So, the issue that I have with this chart is that I didn't hear anywhere in your talk there
Yeah.
about what intrinsic value of these tokens is. And this is where this whole POS concept gets really scary
Okay.
because technically you could make an argument that POS coins have no intrinsic value at all.
Okay.
And of course, that's going to stir up. Where's Cotter? I bet you Cotter's going to freak out over there on YouTube when I say
Let
that.
loose in the comments.
Yeah. What? What are you saying? You're sacrilege. And what worries me is if this thing really does want to puke out. Can you see the AB equals CD down here?
Yeah, that's a big puke.
Well, and so the question that I would have is how do you actually value one Ethereum? Since this thing basically
Yeah.
uses the Ethereum blockchain, right?
Okay. Yes.
So, would it make sense that if Ethereum starts to go into free fall, would this thing not just follow suit?
Very likely could or would.
Um, yeah, just, I mean, we're not in
Okay.
the business of predicting the future. But what I'm just going to simply say is it scares me when I have conversations about POS with people because I remember distinctly I can show you an example from the 2017 bull market. Um, and if this thing really pukes out, like you could even draw also too a ray from here. Maybe we'll make this one like purple or something.
Omar says we don't know how many ether exist either.
Yeah.
Point.
So can you see how like we have these A, B, C, D's all pointing down into this area down in here?
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, now this is an interesting one, right? Because it likes to bottom in June, which is a bit odd, right? There's
Yeah.
May, there's early June, late May, and then interesting how we made a low there in June. I mean, does this thing bob and weave, and then next spring, that's
Yeah.
actually when we get down into those levels?
If
Could
it's
very
bobbing
well
and
be.
weaving, it's right around that 50% level too, if like where it would be starting.
Pardon me?
I see that like where it's currently at is right around that 50% level. Uh there. It's like start like that candle is at sorry, how do I want to describe this? So if it were to bob and weave for a couple more months and it end up dropping that CD down into June, so it's another possibility. I don't know if I described that correctly.
My hunch is that whatever the like I mean it is interesting how this thing likes to rally. I mean this is an interesting one here, right? It rallied into late May and then dumped into July. I
Mm-hmm.
don't. I mean the issue that I have is that this 6 month window prior to the halvening event can get pretty nasty. So, like, what would be really interesting is to look at this thing, how it acted. And I don't know whether this is a function of it being on GDAX, but was this thing alive through the last Bitcoin halvening event?
Let me take a look and go on
Like just for illustration
all
purposes, I
time.
think.
Yeah, it goes back to May of 2019.
All
Like just
right.
in total. I'm
So,
I don't know.
here was the last halvening event window, right? Where are we here? Over here. And what I'm worried about is I think right now you could say you are August, right?
Yep.
You are like literally right there.
Yikes.
And interesting, of course, how we had that dead cat bounce rally, right? Maybe we're like we just did that rally like right there, right? And yes, there's a big halvening event, which should be a fundamentally bullish event. And last go round, it happened right on my birthday, right there,
Is that the 11th?
May 11th.
Happy birthday.
But notice this is where we are right now, the end of the summer of the previous year, and this is the halvening event. And look at the train wreck that happened between now and then.
Yeah.
So, does it make sense that given this is what the previous 6 months to the last halvening event looked like, could we have a bit of weakness here in yield Bitcoin heading into that halvening event?
Definitely a possibility.
I might say probability rather than
Probability.
possibility.
Yeah.
But that's Brian. Remember, I think I told you. Let's see if you can remember this. Anybody on the YouTube channel, if you're watching this,
Okay.
by definition, what are we actually as technicians in the marketplace?
Statisticians.
Oh, very good. Oh, you remember that right off the bat. So, like
Didn't
we'll
even have to
do
look at my
61.8,
notebook.
78.6. Let's do 88.6, right? And we call this, of course, the venture cap reload zone. What this is basically implying is we could probably easily come down into that window there. No problem. And interestingly enough, the next halvening event is right around that sort of April, I think it is right now. Let's call it the middle of April.
Hmm.
So, okay, so here is the current image, and maybe that's our little rally like I showed you. And then if we go back, and for fun, actually, I think we can do something really cool here. There's that last one. Let's take the price action from this cycle. There it is, bar pattern. And there is basically the end of August right there, right? And we'll even include that rally as our little dead cat bounce rally that we saw. And then here is the halvening event. So boom, there's the price action, right? See how I did that?
Yeah.
Now
That's
let's take this and let's overlay it
drag it
to the
over.
current price. And also too, before we leave that, you notice how this dip came right into that venture
That
cap reload zone.
reload zone.
You see that?
Yep.
So let's maybe extrapolate that we see similar type price action. So let's go back to here. And
That's a
there's the
funky
halvening
time because that was
event.
right around the start of COVID too. Like right.
Right, indeed. So there's our dead cat bounce that started.
Oh, and there you
And
go. Like you
right, so we could
mentioned.
probably extrapolate that up into sort of maybe that area there. And there's the halvening event. So,
Yeah.
I could very easily see a scenario like this. Of course, nobody's going to like to hear this. And if anything, that's the sign of actually a good technician is you don't get wrapped up in the bullshit. Right? I know there was one guy who was a student of mine. I got very, very angry at him because if he actually wanted to, he could be a really, really good technician, but I don't think he ever really wanted to. And through this top here, remember we had our conversation about divergence, right?
Yep.
And if we actually pull up like our indicators here, look how, RSI, for example, look how it just was consistently making lower highs and lower highs and lower highs. And look how price just melted down. And then
Yeah.
we did it again. We pushed up to new highs. And then it started to make lower highs. Look at that divergence right there, eh?
I told you that
Nasty divergence.
coming.
Huh?
That right there, you see that big M. It's like this crash is coming.
Right. And you can see a bit of a div there in MACD. So, and this is just off the daily chart. Remember, we did this off the weekly chart and we were like, cool your bloody jets.
Yes, sir.
Right. So, we're seeing the same sort of anecdotal information. The only problem is people that are like wanting you to buy their ICO or IDO or want to
Yeah.
keep the sort of FUD going to try and pump as many people into the market, they're not going to talk like this. They're not going to say things like, you do realize we have a confirmed bearish divergence and price momentum looks horrific here. Are you really sure you really want to go and buy? Is that a good idea?
No.
Nobody in the public is going to say
No.
that, right?
No.
Because when I say those kind of things in the public, believe it or not, they actually say things like, well, that's not very American of you. We're all supposed to be bulls, and it's just
Yikes.
like, look at, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass. What I'm trying to do is just tell you the truth, you know.
Yep.
So anyway, I think for the purposes of this show and this conversation, actually, I think I'd like to leave that on here because I think we're probably, and actually, I think we're probably going to look something along those lines like that. And if anything, this kind of makes sense too, because I do think that this is going to be a bit of a tough fall. I think that the U.S. Federal Reserve Board is hell bent on breaking the market. And usually the fall is a tough period, but we should have a nice counter trend rally into the end of the year. I mean, it's just seasonally normal. And then, in very typical fashion, I think that there will be a serious test of these lows. Now, this happened to be the sickness, right? And
Yeah.
the sickness kind of screwed with everybody. I actually think that the 1%, they kind of wanted this normal reload zone
Reload zone.
to work.
That makes sense.
But because of the sickness and everybody went absolutely crazy there. And oh, by the way, do you hear? There turns out that the sickness is coming back. And
Yeah.
then also, too, if I'm not mistaken, I think Mr. Trump's trial actually starts right in this window here. So probably the
Interesting.
best thing that you never want to really open up the political conversation can of worms. But I wouldn't be surprised if they actually engineer some sort of crisis that sort of distracts the public from that very important trial that's supposed to happen. And shiny object. Look over here. Look over here. Don't pay attention to that. Look over here.
Smoke and mirrors.
So let's leave this on and let's see what happens over time.
Yeah. I like that idea.
Okay, let's go back to our story. So we did our initial analysis, and when we build out our table, I think it would be a really good idea, to label the table 3 reasons for a trade, and then we just check these boxes off as we go through time. And right now, we can unequivocally say that we're just
That's
parked
it.
waiting for some sort of
Yeah.
confirmed momentum divergence for us to then move on to, do we actually have price structure?
Cool. Yeah. Well, we'll keep that one in the back pocket. I think
Well, I have a feeling
move
your
on
whole
to
matrix is going to look this way. So
beautiful.
that's fine.
Yeah. So
Okay, shall
move
we
on
move
to
on
AVAX,
to AVAX now?
Avalanche. Yeah. So Avalanche was designed to fix multiple issues found in most blockchain networks today. It began as a protocol for solving for consensus in a network of unreliable machines. It was like pitted as an Ethereum rival. It combats the centralization and is a viable alternative to Ethereum. The gas fees are much lower than that of Ethereum's, and it's more programmable with features and functionalities than Ethereum's network. And I just know that with like NFTs and stuff, when those were popping off, I was looking at some of them, and the amount of money that people were spending just gas fees on some NFTs was just mind-boggling to me. Like some of
Yeah,
those,
that was one of the main. You know who Elizabeth Warren is?
Yeah,
So that was the one of her main gripes about crypto, was that
it's
people wanted
crazy.
to go and buy $100 worth of an altcoin, and they ended up spending $500 in gas fees to buy the $100 worth of crypto.
So
That
that was
doesn't
a
make
big
any sense,
thing.
does it?
Yeah, that was a big thing for me where I thought that was, I mean, if that's what it's trying to do as a rival and that's their main thing, uh, sign me up thing because yeah, that always blew my mind just the when it was all over crypto Twitter, that was all you saw was just NFTs. And you go to OpenSea and look at the actual gas fees of how much you would spend in just acquiring it was crazy to me.
Yeah. In fact, actually, I was even well, I suppose aside from the gas fees,
Yeah.
I was actually considering monetizing all of the fun images. In fact, we had actually a guy who was out of LA. He was a Hollywood guy. Do up a whole bunch of really fun images of TRI and the
Uh-huh.
TRI experience, and we made NFTs out of all of them. So
Oh,
I
is
was
that
kind of seriously considering doing monetizing them and just auctioning them off, but I'm so lazy I never got around to it. And actually, my Twitter feed is a NFT
is
from the Ubic guys.
yep.
Although
So
you look
when
at
that
that
hits that
Ubic chain,
all-time
I
high,
don't know whether they're going to stick around for much longer. But hey, I've got a nostalgic piece of NFT crypto. And I don't know whether you've seen my Twitter feed, but if anything, and it's my personal feed, so it's not
yeah.
really anything to do with
You,
TRI.
s- you said you'll dye your hair purple if
Yeah, hey, if they
it's
take Ubik to New Eyes, then I'll dye my hair.
to
So
match
don't
his
expect Brian to dye his hair
NFT.
anytime soon. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, you can see up there in the corner of that tweet.
But this NFT, actually, I went and bought like 1 Ethereum worth of this Ubik token because it's just basically worth nothing right now. So I was like, what the hell? Let's go and grab some. And they threw this NFT in as a treat. So that's basically my purchase.
Beautiful.
But it'd be interesting if Ubik blows up, and this would be a really interesting anecdote of the crypto experience. And I have to
Indeed.
change my name to Sedona Euphoria too. I don't know
Yes.
whether I think I told you the story about Doge, right? Because I sold Doge right up at the top there. And I
Good on
said if
you.
they were going to take Doge to over $1, I would officially change my name to Sedona Euphoria. And we even priced this. There was a 50-acre estate down in the state of Georgia, and I was going. If I had sold the whole thing above $1, I was going to go buy the estate. It was advertised for sale. With that money, and I was going to retire to the state of Georgia with my purple hair and call myself Sedona Euphoria.
I think that's a brilliant idea.
Thank heavens it never happened, right? I only
You
sold
never
half my
know.
bag.
Yeah, hey, you sell
But I
half on
did
a
pretty
company.
well. I mean, I took the better part of 6 figures. I took 5 figures out of Doge, so I can't complain.
Beautiful.
Anyway, okay, so back to our story. We're on to story two, AVAX, right?
Yep.
All right. Now, I'm not quite sure if this is a function of GDAX,
I don't
but
know.
something really weird just
That's what
happened
I
here.
was thinking too. I was like, obviously, when was that? 2 days ago? I have
If
no idea.
that's
That's
for real,
I don't think look at confirm it.
that's not a good sign, my friend.
Yeah.
Now, the good part about it is they always say when stuff goes on sale, nobody wants to buy. So remember that it's our job to buy down markets. So if you're not invested in this and you're
So
thinking about investing in this, then ironically enough, this is exactly what you want
I
to
was gonna
see.
say I could show you how you can try to see a different market if you want to change it
Um,
to a different exchange. So just
there we
there's
go.
that wheel up at um so just up there and to the right. Just it's a tiny
Up
one
and
up.
to the right.
All
Over
right,
here?
so it's on the same block as uh this. All right, so now just up. It's very small, right where you are now. Down. Oh wait, no, sorry, that was my mouse. I was watching mine. So if you go up just a little bit to that top bar, down,
That there?
right there, yeah, that one,
Okay.
and then edit market, and then it's your same
Was it
as
AVAX?
AVAX USDT. So you're on GDAX now. So
Well, we'll go look at Binance. Just remember, if you're in North America, you're not allowed to be on Binance anymore.
yeah,
Maybe we'll look at it versus Tether there.
yeah.
See what the hell that looks like. Survey says. There you go. Yeah, interesting. So there isn't a big
That must have
volume
been some
spike
sort of
there.
false data that we pulled in from Coinbase's API. We get all of that data directly from uh, their API and just plug it into the chart. But I'll make note of that and have Anthony
Well,
our,
maybe somebody
our
in the US had to get the hell out of there. I mean, maybe
that's
GDAX is going to delist these guys, right? So just be well aware of
yeah.
that, folks. So, and what I would like us to do, and I think this is a good, if anything, it gives me an opportunity to toot our own horn. Um, is let's pop on over to what the weekly commodity trend survey says and see whether that sort of aligns. So here is the AVAX. There it is. So you can see that the current price $10.20. 52-week low is 971. So is it a good idea, thinking like institutions, to be coming and sniffing around near the bottom end of the 52-week range?
Yeah.
Trade location, I think that's acceptable.
Yep.
Uh, the 52-week high is 22, almost 2280, 2279. So that means the 50% level is 1625. And that's basically about a 50% higher than where we are right now, right?
Yep. So
So, from that perspective, and again, this is how we score these from a weekly commodity trend survey perspective, are we coming in and are we interested near the bottom end of the trading range? I think the answer is yes. Now, what's momentum? So right now you can see our fast moving average 1279 and our slow moving average 15 and a quarter. So you tell me, let's see if you've listened to me.
okay.
What is momentum telling us now? Fast moving average is lower than the slow moving average.
That it is bullish.
Well, you had a
I
50% chance.
yeah. I'm still confused.
Maybe
It's a
are
visual
you
thing for
making
me. I'd
notes
have to
today?
see it. I
Are you
do.
are you writing
I need
notes?
to see it on the chart.
Yeah, you'll see it on the chart, but we have to get to the
So
point
yeah,
where you
so you
say fast moving average is lower than the slow moving average. That's bearish.
is
So as a result, we get a 5 reading. Why do we get a 5 reading? We get a 5 reading because it's near the bottom end of the range. If momentum was actually positive and this fast moving average was above the slow moving average, we'd actually have a 6 rating, i.e., the asset is cheap and momentum is pointing up. Does that make sense?
yes.
So the reading right now is a 5, which means it's attractive, but it doesn't mean that it's an actual buy. Does that make sense?
Does.
All right. So let's go back to the price chart now and let's see if that makes sense. So,
You clicked
oops.
Matic, not
Oh,
Rex.
clicked the wrong one. Let's try that again. All right, with indicators and all.
Okay.
We'll throw on our moving averages. So, and we'll change this to that weekly chart. We're on Binance right now just because we wanted a real volume print. But just remember, guys, we probably want to, if you're in North America, I don't think Binance is even realistic. So there is our 30 moving average. So now what we need to do is change the interval to daily. Let's see how we do that. Maybe
Might have to
here.
you might have to go back
Probably
to
out of
the
this
big view.
full. Oh, well, there we go. But let's get out of here. And then we'll go like that. And then, yeah, there we go. So let's go weekly. Boom. And then we'll maximize that. All right. So what do you think? Are we near the bottom end of the range?
No.
Really?
I I guess
This
yeah,
is the top
technically.
end of the
Yeah,
range.
that then yes, we are.
This is the bottom end of the range.
Yeah,
Now, remember, the weekly commodity trend survey only uses a 52-week range. So that means we really have to like zoom into something like this.
yeah. So this is
So again, can you ask, can you answer? Are we
so
near the top end of the range or are we near the bottom
the
end of the
bottom.
range? All right. So, from an institutional perspective, this is an okay place for us to be thinking about buying.
Okay.
Now, from a momentum perspective, there's our moving averages again.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, you can see them.
Yes, I
This
can.
is the slow. I think we made this one red, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we also made it a bit thicker. And
This
then this one is our fast, and it's yellow and it's thin. So something like that.
all right.
So you tell me,
So then
is momentum pointing up or down right now?
it so when I have written fast moving average, when fast moving average is lower than the slow moving average, I didn't catch that part, but is it bullish from that part? Bearish. Okay, so yeah, I got cut off before I could finish writing that, or we moved on. All right, so
Okay. And really, I mean, Joe, just look at the chart.
yeah, no,
What direction are we headed here?
down.
All right.
M's.
And then also, too, can you see how, where should we do this? One of these is the drawing tool. Nope. 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 There it is. So can you see there is the moving average cross?
Yep.
And what letter of the alphabet does this
M.
look like?
M. Okay. Yep.
So you see how that kind of corresponds?
Yes.
So quite often that is what this looks like, and that's one of the main reasons why I like to use these moving averages. So point of the matter here is momentum is pointing
Sorry, I'm drawing it down.
down. All
I'm
right, so we
drawing this
can
moving
start our
average up.
process. Right, our three reasons, and actually, you know what? Why don't we? We don't have to really reinvent the wheel here. Why don't we take this and go copy, and let's plunk this over here. And we'll go paste. There it is. Yeah.
Hey.
All right. And like we said, if we can get that table up and running, that'll be great to have this just running for all of these. Do we have location? Is Brian going to get
Yes.
angry at you for thinking about being a buyer down here?
No.
Right. So location, it's acceptable. You're not chasing. You're thinking like an institution. You're trying to buy down markets.
Mm-hmm.
Now, indicator confirmation. What do
No.
we say the momentum is right now?
Bearish.
Right. So we're not getting any help from the moving averages. How
Mm-hmm.
about, do we have any divergence here? What I see is a huge move down.
No.
Come on. No, it just don't want to work.
I don't know why it's not drawing.
Hmm. Yeah, let's try a different route. Maybe we can do it like this. Down. No, you just. Okay, there we go. Okay, up, up, and then, down.
M's.
and then we're sort of like that right now, eh?
Yeah.
So if we
So nothing
overlay
right
this,
now.
we have a huge move down and a pretty big spike up. Then kind of choppy choppy. In fact, actually might even go there to there. Then there. Let's go there. Something like that. Then there. Then there. Then there. Then there.
And now
And
down.
there. All right. So that's
So
kind of
we
what it
do
looks like,
not,
eh?
yes, we do not have
So do we
indicator
have,
confirmation.
and this will test your whether you were paying attention here
Yeah.
tonight. Let's really zoom in on this.
It has to break past.
So, what did Brian call this where it sort of looks like that? Remember, there was two
At
different
the
terms that we used for divergence. Do you remember what those two terms were?
uh so divergence. It's I don't know.
We
I know
have
it's not confirmed.
potential divergence,
Okay.
and what was the other type of divergence?
Um
Hint, hint, hint. If this actually
that's
makes
a
a
not
W, then it's the other type of
confirmed.
divergence.
Confirmed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
That
since this
it's
is
no
still
it's not
sitting down
confirmed.
here, you can see that this low here in the MACD is higher than this low here.
Mm-hmm.
But notice price, actually, this low we just made is a little bit lower than that most recent low.
Gotcha.
So, what would we call this situation right now?
Uh Potential.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And if
Because it's
this
not
MACD
confirmed
can
until it's
turn back
passed.
up and go through this W, then what do we call that?
Confirmed
Right.
divergence.
So, can we say at present that we have a confirmed bullish momentum divergence?
At the present, no.
All right. How about an RSI? Do we have any W confirmed here yet?
No.
And in fact, you can see RSI actually has gone through that low.
Yep.
So as a result, if we actually, oh geez, now what have I done? Let's put that back, and then where's the other one? There we go. If we actually look at RSI, what letter of the alphabet does this look like? Oh boy,
Nice M.
yeah. So that's not a good sign. We don't have any divergence here at all. We've got potential out of the MACD, so that's kind of good. But there's certainly no confirmed divergence here. So as a result, if we go to our, so we have to do that, and then we'll go here. All right, we go to our checklist. We can say that, yeah, we've
Location.
got pretty good trade location. We're right down at the bottom end of the trading range.
Yep.
But do we have any indicator confirmation yet?
No.
No. Now, just like the previous name, you can see that would this be, and let's see if you can sort of put the pieces together, would this be a good place to be a seller based on the fact that our Williams percentage R indicator here is just about oversold? It's at minus 79.6682. It's not
So
quite stupidly
no.
oversold, but it sure is
But
close, eh?
well, so the Willie getting oversold is a good sign
It
for
it doesn't
buy.
necessarily mean it's a buy, but it
Yeah.
probably means that it's too late to be a seller.
Yeah.
The problem is Willie actually stupidly oversold here yet?
No.
No, 79.65 isn't quite stupid.
What was it at in like that right above 2023 in like January
Yeah, so
2023?
like here,
What's
I mean,
that
you can
at?
see this was like minus 90.
90? Yeah.
And really, what this is saying is this was a very, very washed out market. Have you
Yeah,
ever heard
that's
me use
like
the
6 months.
pardon me?
That's like 6 months of it being
Yeah, I mean, this was just
oversold.
absolute. And you got to remember, every 4 years, crypto does this. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, all the new people to crypto that come in and buy the tops of markets, they don't understand this stuff.
Yeah.
So let's see if I can do this. All right. So what did we say? And I think I've done this with you before, but what do we call this pattern here? These purple lines. What does that kind of look like? We'll put the moving averages away for the time
Confluence?
being. When you get this kind of price pattern, what do we call
Oh,
that?
the speaker or microphone one, right?
Well, it's the exact opposite.
Uh falling wedge. Yeah, we
Okay, yeah, that's actually the textbook definition. So way to go. This is what's
and
called a
Omar helped me out.
falling wedge. And inherently, this is actually a bullish sign.
Okay.
So, and you can see, I mean, the market did jump up nicely here. So, unfortunately, that's about the extent of the rally because look, instantly in come the M's, right? And they just keep driving this back down. I think you could probably make the argument that the falling wedge is now going to look something like that.
Gotcha.
So, ironically enough, when this thing actually does finish its consolidation, this is actually technically a bullish chart pattern. Um, reverse megaphone.
Yeah.
That's good.
Basically.
um, but interestingly enough, right? See how you can connect the dots with this low and this low? And remember, we were saying lower highs and lower lows. And do we actually have indicator confirmation saying that this thing is in bullish divergence? No.
No.
So lower highs and lower lows defines a bear market, right?
Yep.
And now this could get a little scary here. Because again, this is just like the previous name. And, I sort of mentioned this, both of these are sort of Ethereum competitors, right?
Yep.
What is the actual intrinsic value of one of these AVAX tokens? I mean, can you actually make the fundamental case that each of these tokens has a fundamental value of $10.37? I don't
No.
think so.
No.
Considering that
I
here,
was trying to
just
read what
back
I had
in
written, and I was like, no, I don't think I can.
just back in 2020, which really wasn't that long ago, this thing was $3.
Feels like it was.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Feels like it's a generation ago.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we always talk about wicks and tails like to be eaten. I think you could make the argument that's real, like this tail right here, right? You can see how they're trying to bring it into that level.
Yeah.
But if we lose this level, what's that principle we're supposed to use to try and see where the next support line might come in? If we lose a key support level? Two letters of the alphabet. They both start with the same letter. Look left.
Oh, look left. Ah, I'm an idiot. I knew that.
And notice the next key support level is all the
Yes.
way down here. So this is dangerous. Can you see look left?
Yeah, because that's the
If
next.
we lose these lows, this is
No
all
bueno.
open air here, right?
Scary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a
now the
big,
thing
big
is
fall.
right, most people are going to look at this and go, ah, that doesn't make any sense. But if we actually look at this from a logarithmic perspective, I think it actually does make sense. So there's the logarithmic chart. And now look at that range now. Whoo-wee, is that big. And interesting how our falling wedge has now actually, on a logarithmic basis, turned into a channel.
Okay. Sense.
And this is where we can actually start doing like Foggen bombs to the downside, right? Because look at this well-defined M here.
Yeah, I see that.
So that means we could probably go there to there. And then we could go, we'll get rid of fib retracement levels and we'll throw on things like extension levels. And keep in mind, this is fib, log base. So there's our three chaos levels. And you see we have fib levels based on log scale, eh?
Hmm.
So just make sure that if you're going to do this log, you got to have that checked. And notice, look at where 2.618 comes in. It
Right in the
happens
middle
to
of
come
that.
in right in this little traffic area, right?
Yeah,
And then notice, look where 4.669 comes
right
in here.
there.
Basically right at that bottom.
Math.
So the fact that, yes, on a regular scale, we are near the bottom end of the range. The only problem is on a logarithmic scale, what is this actually starting to look like? And if you said something like, well,
And
Brian, that kind of looks like a head
yeah,
and
head and
shoulders,
shoulders. Yes, it does.
or one of those fractal things. This looks a little dangerous.
It does.
And, people don't want to hear this. I'm sorry. But I could very easily see that we have location. We've come down to the bottom end of the range. Now, if we started to put in some bull divs in here, the way that they could clean this up and prevent this from just turning into a nightmare is maybe this is going to be like a head and shoulders going this direction. So that means
So
maybe if we're
inverse
lucky, we get something along those lines, right?
in an ideal world.
Exactly, and that's the point. Is if you're sitting in this asset or if you're thinking about buying, you can't assume that this is going to happen.
Yeah,
The You always have to go
assume the
with
worst.
the trend. They say the trend is your friend. And the fact that we are making lower highs and lower lows, the fact that we are emming out here, that's a very well defined market structure failure. The fact that we just made a new low here, you can't assume that this thing's going to bottom here. You have to actually see the bottom come in before you can actually assume that, all right, it looks like we've turned the corner. And, unfortunately, there's an old expression in the market. They don't call it the fall for nothing. So don't be surprised if you happen to see asset prices like this come off a good chunk. Um, that's not a bullish chart right now.
No,
So
sir.
I mean, I appreciate your enthusiasm for the idea.
Yeah.
Uh, and if anything, what usually happens in this space is people are like, I really like that idea. But they don't realize that maybe they're walking into a bear market. And sadly, of course, most of the public, they actually come in up markets. And if you had bought this thing up around $100, how would
You're
you be
sleeping on the
feeling right now?
couch.
Yeah, of course you're sleeping on the couch. The wife doesn't even want to talk to you, right? Um, but how would you be feeling right now? You probably wouldn't be feeling very happy, right?
Feeling terrible.
So, and unfortunately, that's the way the capitalist machine works. The public always buys up markets. And what will end up happening here, and of course, you know exactly when it's going to happen, and I don't think it's happened yet. But what is the sign that we know that the public is going to give up and throw in the towel? You remember what is that sign that we're looking for?
After the institutional
Think tugboat captains.
um the tugboat captains, the oversold part.
Yeah. Remember Willie?
Yep.
Tugboat captain who always buys up markets
Oh
and
yes.
always sells down markets and always loses money.
Yep.
So, is Willie stupid yet?
No, not quite.
Is he going to be panicking and, oh my God, Brian, sell it, get me out of here? Not yet. I mean, that's the irony of it all. Not yet.
Makes
So
sense.
we've got MACD trying to bottom. And like I said, if there's some sort of white knight that comes out of nowhere, and you never know, this is why it's not in our best interest to predict the future. Maybe some white knight comes in and this MACD somehow holds these lows and turns back up and actually puts this W in. Maybe. We will
That'd be
see.
amazing.
Only time will tell. And actually, that used to be a phrase of Willie's. Only time will
Only time
tell.
will tell. I
No,
like
no, Tahel.
how. Oh.
Only time will tell. Anyway, so the point here is as it stands right now, I mean, remember we've had this conversation about volume, and maybe we'll put OBV away right for now. But you tell me, I don't know whether
I'm
you're
looking.
actually up to speed with this just yet.
We have not discussed volume in depth, but I'm seeing some M's.
Good. So at any given point in time, we can actually measure who's in control of a market and how serious they are. So this is the great part about having sites like this, where you can actually color the volume bars based on whether price was rising or falling. So you can see when price is falling, we cover the bar red color. When price is rising, we color it green. So we can measure both camps at any given point in time as to their sort of seriousness. So let's put the bears away for now.
Okay.
And now you can basically measure what the bulls are thinking. And I think you can make the argument that, the bulls were uber excited here.
And
Then they
way.
backed off. Then they perked up a bit. And then they backed off again. Then they perked up a bit. Well, that's good.
Okay. Okay.
Then
And
they
then
started to back off. Then they perked up a bit. And look at that. I mean, we got these big open holes here. I don't know whether
yeah,
that's encouraging or not.
I like the how the bulls are falling asleep. I like that, Omar.
Well, and so that's the expression that we use in the school
Yeah.
program, that if you see three lower highs in volume, and then you actually ask whether a volume bar, a green bar, the bulls were measuring,
Hmm.
is lower than whatever this third sort of trough. Can you see how this is a trough? So we can measure this is a trough and this is a trough.
Yeah.
So if we get a volume bar lower than whatever the lowest volume bar is on this second trough, that will actually be an official indication that the bulls have lost interest and they have quote unquote fallen asleep.
Gotcha.
So they haven't quite fallen asleep here yet. They're still awake, but I'll tell you, it sure looks to me like they're getting awfully groggy. They just took some NyQuil. They're settling into bed. The guy upstairs is pounding noise and he's pissing everybody off, keeping everybody awake in the building. So they haven't quite fallen
Hitting the broom to
asleep.
the ceiling.
But, the bull's getting kind of groggy here. Does that make sense?
It does.
All right. So we can do the same thing for the bears. So we can say that it sure looks to me like the bulls are kind of losing interest. And then we can do exactly the same thing for the bears. So let's go like a red candle. And we will make that nice and bright. And then we'll put the bulls away. Okay, what are the bears doing? Well, kind of looks the same image, eh? So we could probably draw that, and I call this volume impetus, or what is the impetus? I don't know whether you've ever heard me use that expression.
You briefly had mentioned
So,
it last week, but I actually have a note written down. Ask about volume impetus.
all right, so you can see high, lower high, lower high. So you can see the bears are kind of losing interest as well. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
We'll know that the bears will have fallen asleep officially if we do a down bar less than that day right there. You see how low that is?
Mm-hmm.
And that says only in crypto. This very low bar day is a paltry 4.85 million coins. But that's a light day.
Yeah.
And we got close. Here we did 5.32. So I would say both the Bulls and the Bears are getting groggy. Everybody's kind of losing interest. And it kind of makes sense because, I mean, you see what the price of the asset's doing. Um, Everybody's just kind of like, we're just not interested. Either the bulls are not interested because there just isn't any price momentum. We keep making lower highs and lower lows, and there's probably no fundamental driver that says you absolutely have to buy AVAX right now, right? Like when you have like a big new project coming out, if you have like an ICO or something like that, right? That gets a lot of public interest, and they want to participate, which translates into volume. I would probably make the argument that if you actually looked at the AVAX, like, do they have a website? Do they have like if you're going to seriously invest in this, you probably ought to figure out what are what we call fundamental drivers going forward.
They do
Do
have a
they have
website.
any new product launch? Do they have any, hey, we're going to be listed on this exchange soon? Do they have any, well, we're bringing on this big high shooting developer or something?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
So I might argue, and if we now look at that OBV indicator, my hunch is that it's just sort of floundering. And it kind of looks that way, eh?
Mm-hmm.
You can see we are below the moving average here. It's kind of hard to see this moving average. Maybe we'll make that red. The
Jan's
bulls,
string.
like we said, were threatening to fall asleep. And you can see in the indicator, this kind of looks like a head and shoulders on the OBV itself, eh?
It does.
So, you can use the same market structure. Look how this looked like a head and shoulders up here.
I see that.
And as soon as the market structure was confirmed, a whole bunch of sellers
On it.
came out of the woodwork and the thing just collapsed, right? So it's not exactly the most bullish of images. The only sort of consolation that you can take away from this is that it looks like both camps are actually falling asleep. It's not just the bulls. I think everybody's kind of losing interest. And so as a result, what often ends up happening is this thing is just going to drift until we actually see somebody start to
Start
make
buying.
higher highs and higher lows. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. All right.
I
So from a
appreciate that.
volume perspective, it's just
Gotcha. Jan Stranger said they have deals with Amazon supporting their subnet chains. Interesting.
okay. So the question here is, how do we figure out what the intrinsic value of one of these coins actually is? And, just like what I
Yeah.
said there a few minutes ago, especially if Amazon is kind of unwinding the stupidity of that sickness world that we lived in, it would make sense when Amazon went absolutely crazy there that if these guys were announcing that they're doing deals with Amazon, then this thing would move up with Amazon, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know whether you've noticed, and we'll pop on over and look at TradingView just because they have stocks.
Yeah.
But if we look at, in fact, I have Amazon here. on sort of my watch list. And actually, this is an interesting question for you. What is this candle pattern called?
The inverse bar.
This is an outside
Inside. Sorry.
downside
In.
bearish key reversal.
Oh,
That's a
I'm
very,
gonna
very
guess that one.
bearish candle. And the interesting thing about Amazon is it actually is a shadow of its former self. So there was that high. And it would be interesting. Remember, we said 2021, it actually topped and made a peak there in October 2021.
That was right around when
So let's go
Bitcoin
back and
was.
look at your idea and see when it peaked. And lo and behold, October 2021, it peaked. So do you see the correlation?
I do.
So my hunch is that, and it would make sense that this thing got bid up on that crazy Amazon bull market through the COVID sickness and stupidity. And once that stupidity was taken out of the market, why would you own this? Why would you own Amazon? I mean, it's ridiculously overvalued. But anyway, it is what it is. And
Yeah.
lo and behold, here comes another sickness. So it looks like the 1% might be getting ready to lock us all back in our cages again.
Woohoo!
And you might find that this damn thing actually puts in a bullish div, and maybe we do carve out this inverted head and shoulders, and away we go.
Interesting.
Right? I mean, the
Yeah.
great part about it is I think, that's a really good comment that Jan made there. I think you basically use this as an Amazon proxy in the crypto space. It would make
Crazy.
sense.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
if anything, write that down as your fundamental drivers, Jan. That's excellent commentary there. Because usually that's what happens with a lot of these sort of venture cap ideas is they sort of hook their train, their wagon up to a bigger company story, kind of like I think if I'm not mistaken, Coinigy hooked their wagon train up to a big company over the past little while, if I'm not
Yep. We
mistaken.
were acquired by Lightspeed Financial. So Lightspeed,
So exactly the same kind of
stock
thing.
trading and equities company that wanted to get involved in the cryptocurrency.
There you
Uh,
go. So you could even make the argument maybe Amazon will come over and just take over the AVAX network. Who knows? You never know in this world, right?
Interesting stuff.
So okay, so there's idea number 2, and again, we're trading at the bottom end of the range, but there's just nothing from our indicators here suggesting that this thing is bottomed.
Awesome. So I was taking a look at time. We are at 7:08 here, so we're a little past 2 hours, and I was thinking, do we want to save the final two for another show so we're not just
Sure,
cramming them in?
I think that makes
Do
sense.
it.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, do you think you got some value out of this
I,
analysis?
I did. That was really impressive stuff. I actually, um, I don't know. Looking into the volume was really what stood out to me in that part. I haven't really. There's some newer concepts that we've done there, and
Yeah, and like considering how much information I'm throwing at you over this period, do you understand why we have this very structured education program?
1,000%. I mean, it all makes sense in the grand scheme, but it gets confusing with all the different terms at different times
And you're
or
lucky because
different
I'm
parts.
like I'm like constantly harassing you with quizzes, right?
Yes, and I made today. I felt off. I needed some coffee in me, but I I I hope that I didn't sound too dumb. I was really trying to uh, stick with it.
Well, how many
With
years have I, do you know just offhand how many years I've been doing this?
35, you said,
That's
in the industry.
that's a
So
long freaking time. How old are you? Are you even
I'm
35 years old?
27.
Huh?
I'm 27.
20. So I've been working in the stock market longer than you've been alive.
Yeah.
that's
So.
That's either a really good thing or it's a really sad thing. I'm not quite
I think it's
sure
great.
which.
I think it's great to have a valuable mentor like yourself. So, as always, I truly appreciate you, Brian, and for all you do. And all the rational investor, the TRIers out there are also feel the same way. So, we
I
do
hope
appreciate
so.
your efforts, and even those that are watching these videos after the fact, I know that they're taking a lot from it as well. So, bottom of my
Excellent.
heart,
Good, good.
thank you very much.
Right. And if you do, I've said this to you before, Joe, if you want, you could probably sit and rewatch these videos over and over and over and over again, take tons and tons of notes. But then it's incumbent on you to actually put all the notes into appropriate order, and what is sort of what comes first, what comes second, what comes third, what comes fourth.
Exactly. And that's
The
why I do take notes on like a separate sheet of paper during the show, and then I transfer it over. It helps me to remember it too. But and I'll go back and rewatch and take some other notes that I
right,
didn't scratch down during the fact. But I do try to keep it that way so I can so I'm not just scratching chicken scratch into my notebook. My notebook's a very clean, concise ideas on pages and
good.
where it makes sense. Uh,
So what I was just gonna say was in the education program, keep in mind we're not reinventing the wheel here.
no, sir.
So, and I've been doing this a while. This is what's called the process. That's what we're teaching you is what's called the process. And I mean, we haven't even talked about your trading plan. I mean, a
Yeah,
huge part of all of this is every single person must come to the market with a fully vetted trading plan, which in essence puts all of these ingredients that we just talk about randomly ad hoc, it puts
yeah,
them together in a very concise, sort of step by step by step methodical process that we use to invest. So that's the value of our education program. I mean, I don't mind, and there are quite a few people in this world that are self teachers. And if you want to go through and write notes, and if you can do things like flashcards and stuff, I mean, not everybody has a guy like me to sit and quiz them constantly and correct them if they're not correct about their answers, right?
exactly.
So that's the whole point of the education program. And frankly speaking, for the price that we charge, this is laughable how cheap it is.
Really is.
So I would highly encourage anybody who's watching this, if you are a self teacher, okay, great. Awesome. Rock this thing. But, you might save yourself a couple years' time. Just get your butt in the education program and just do everything that we tell you to do exactly and precisely. And in 3 months, coming out the back end, this process backwards. And
Yeah,
Omar there says, I need to retake the level one again.
yeah. I mean, hey, you guys have 11 days to sign up, but get in there. But at the very minimum, everyone should be at least trying to put the in for the free uh thing, but sign up for those the
Yeah,
class.
for the raffle, I mean, what the
Yeah,
hell, eh? I mean,
yeah,
it would
very
actually, I mean, it's a no-brainer to set yourself up for the raffle. I mean, if we can give you the course for free, wouldn't you want it for free? I mean, it seems pretty straightforward. So there is the link,
it's
and
in the description right here. So
as
if
you
you
pointed
can't find it,
out, you've got 11 days. I guess you're going to be busy next Wednesday, correct?
yes.
So I don't
But
know whether we'll be able to do a show.
we'll have to check
So
the schedule and see if we can work around what I've got going on. But
yeah,
yeah,
but the point is that if you do sign up for the raffle, be sure to tune in to our and it's
broiler
the
chicken
YouTube
show.
page again, but it's the TRI YouTube page, the Broiler Chicken Show. Maybe you can put a link to TRI's
Yeah.
YouTube page. in the description if you don't mind,
Yeah,
Joe.
I will do that right now.
And then that way, if you did happen to sign up for the raffle, just write it down. We will do the raffle. Not this week, actually. Uh, yeah. So actually, yeah, it is. It's this Sunday that we're going to be doing the raffle.
And what time is that at?
That's at the show usually starts at about 10:30 Pacific time, so that's like 1:30 Eastern time, and I think that's about 4 o'clock in Europe. I'm not exactly sure.
Cool. All right, so I just added your YouTube channel to the link in this description of this
Right
video.
on. And if
So
you could just maybe put a bracket, be sure to watch the Broiler Chicken Show this Sunday, September 3rd, for the official raffle. All right, cool. Thanks for letting me have that little extra shill there. But the point here is that I think for the amount of money that we are charging for this education program, it can literally change your life. And it's a very structured program that will enable you to basically run a small business of trading, because that's what we're here to do. We're not here to just sort of, and you saw what we did with Joe here tonight. Each and every one of you can go through this process. And the cool part about it is if you follow this 3-step process, the buy signals are actually incredibly easy. It's
mhm.
just you have to be insanely patient and you have to be insanely disciplined. And it's going to be my pleasure and my privilege to show you how all of this works over the next 6, 8 months to get you into some half decent ideas and get us set up for the next big bull run. And it's happening now, folks. This is the window where you have to get your skirt together, as one young lady likes to say on the website.
Uh, well, thank you again, Brian.
Oh,
Uh,
you're welcome.
so it has
If I don't see you next week, have good luck at your orientation.
thank you,
But
thank you.
let's
I,
try as best as we can to maybe have a broadcast next week. But
yeah,
it's entirely up to your schedule.
yes, will do. All right, thank you again to everyone. Be sure to like, comment on this video, and give both the Rational Investor and Coinigy a subscription. Well, guys, that's all for tonight, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye.